Welcome back to our channel Ultra Rare Coins History. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. The story of the United Kingdom. Elizabeth II 1 penny coin from 1998 is far more fascinating than many people might think. At first glance, this humble coin seems like nothing more than a simple piece of copper-plated steel, the kind of currency millions of people handled daily without a second thought. But as history often teaches us, treasures can sometimes hide in plain sight. What makes this particular penny so special is not just its age or design, but the rich history, the cultural context, and the surprising rarity factors that have elevated it to legendary status among collectors. To truly understand why a single penny from 1998 could command extraordinary value, we need to step back into the world of late 20th century Britain and explore how the coin came to be, what it represents, and why collectors today are willing to pay astonishing sums for it. The year 1998 was one of change and transition in Britain. It was a time of renewed optimism, with Tony Blair's government in its early years and the sense of a new Britain emerging after decades of shifting political landscapes. The Royal Mint, which had long held the responsibility of producing the nation's coinage, was not immune to these changes. By this point, coins were not only a medium of everyday exchange but also cultural artifacts that reflected the nation's heritage and monarchy. On the obverse of the 1998 penny, as with all UK coins of that era, was the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in British history. This particular portrait was the third definitive portrait of the Queen, designed by Raphael Maklauf, and it had been in use since 1985. The design shows Elizabeth II wearing the George IV state diadem, a crown often worn for the state opening of Parliament, symbolizing her enduring sovereignty and the continuity of tradition. This depiction of the Queen conveyed a sense of dignity, regality, and timelessness that resonated with the British people. Turning the coin over to the reverse side, one finds the iconic portcullis design, which has been the symbol of the penny since decimalization in 1971. The portcullis, a heavy iron gate often associated with the Palace of Westminster, is more than just a decorative motif. It is a centuries-old emblem of authority and governance, reflecting the very heart of British democracy. On the 1998 penny, the portcullis is topped with a crown, blending both royal authority and parliamentary tradition. Around the design are the words, 1 penny, and at the bottom, the denomination, 1, leaving no doubt as to the coin's purpose in everyday commerce. While the design may appear simple, the choice of the portcullis carried deep meaning. It represented Britain's enduring institutions, its monarchy, and its parliamentary system. For millions of people, these coins were simply loose change rattling around in pockets or purses, but in hindsight, each one was a tiny ambassador of the nation's identity. The material composition of the 1998 penny also marked an interesting chapter in minting history. Before 1992, pennies were made of bronze, an alloy of copper, tin, and zinc. However, due to rising metal costs, the Royal Mint switched to copper-plated steel in 1992. By 1998, this new composition had become the standard, making the penny lighter and slightly different in feel compared to its bronze predecessors. For collectors, this distinction is significant, as it symbolizes the economic considerations and technological changes of the time. Now, you might be wondering, if the penny was mass-produced and millions of them entered circulation, why is the 1998 edition considered so extraordinary today? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, historical significance, and the fascinating quirks of numismatics. While millions of 1998 pennies were indeed minted, only a handful of them have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition. Most were used daily, tossed into change jars, and eventually worn down. But among these, a few specimens have been discovered with unusual minting characteristics, subtle die errors, misaligned strikes, or slight variations in the plating. These anomalies, while seemingly minor, can drastically increase a coin's value. Collectors are always on the lookout for such rare details, because they transform an ordinary object into a one-of-a-kind treasure. But beyond minting errors, What elevates the 1998 penny is the growing interest in coins from the reign of Elizabeth II. As the Queen's era stretched into history, collectors began paying closer attention to coins that marked the milestones of her reign. The 1998 penny sits firmly in this narrative, representing a period when Britain was redefining itself at the dawn of a new millennium. It became not just a coin, but a symbol of transition, a link between the Britain of the 20th century and the world that awaited in the 21st. For seasoned collectors, this kind of symbolism carries immense value. Imagine holding a 1998 penny in your hand today. To the untrained eye, it might appear like any other coin. But under careful inspection, the luster of a well-preserved specimen, the sharpness of the Queen's portrait, and the crisp lines of the portcullis reveal its true character. Coins in such pristine condition are exceedingly rare, as most have been worn down by decades of use. Numismatists, the experts who study coins, often describe the best preserved examples as being in mint state. And when it comes to the 1998 penny, finding such coins is like discovering a hidden jewel. Over the years, stories have emerged of people stumbling upon these valuable pennies in the most unexpected places. Perhaps tucked away in an old coin jar, or found in a drawer after years of neglect, these discoveries often come as a shock to those who realize that what they once dismissed as a trivial coin is, in fact, worth a fortune. This sense of hidden treasure adds to the allure of the 1998 penny and explains why it has become such a talked-about piece among collectors. The collector's market for rare coins operates on both passion and prestige. Owning a rare piece of currency like the 1998 Elizabeth II penny is not just about financial value. It's about holding a piece of history in your hands. Collectors often compete fiercely at auctions, each determined to secure a piece that symbolizes their dedication to preserving history. When coins like the 1998 penny appear at auction, bidding wars often break out, with prices climbing rapidly as determined collectors push beyond all expectations. In recent years, such bidding wars have elevated the value of this coin to astronomical heights. Why, then, would anyone pay millions of dollars for a coin with a face value of just 1 penny? The answer lies in rarity, cultural significance, and the psychology of collecting. The 1998 penny is a tangible reminder of a specific moment in British history. It connects collectors not only to the reign of Elizabeth II but also to the social and economic changes of the late 1990s. Furthermore, its rarity ensures that only a select few will ever own such a piece, making it a status symbol as much as a historical artifact. For high net worth individuals, acquiring a coin like this is about more than money. It is about prestige, legacy, and the thrill of owning something few others can claim. As we look closer at the economics of the coin market, it becomes clear that the value of rare coins often transcends their metal content. While the copper-plated steel of the penny is virtually worthless in raw material terms, the value derives from scarcity and demand. Just as fine art or rare stamps can fetch extraordinary sums, so too can coins when they capture the imagination of collectors. The 1998 penny, with its combination of historical resonance, aesthetic appeal, and sheer rarity, fits perfectly into this category. The story of this coin also reflects the remarkable journey of Elizabeth II herself. Over the decades, coins bearing her image became familiar to millions, yet each design change, each new year, carried subtle shifts in meaning. By 1998, the Queen's image had become iconic, a symbol of stability in an ever-changing world. Owning a coin from this era is like owning a snapshot of that stability, a reminder of Britain's resilience and continuity as it prepared to enter a new century. Collectors often describe coins like the 1998 penny as silent witnesses to history. They pass from hand to hand, from generation to generation, carrying with them the unseen stories of countless lives. And yet, some coins escape this fate, surviving in untouched condition, waiting to be discovered decades later by someone with the insight to recognize their true worth. That is the magic of numismatics, and it is why the 1998 Elizabeth II 1 penny has become one of the most sought-after coins in the world today. Top 2. Today, we're about to embark on a fascinating journey into the world of British numismatics, focusing on a coin that at first glance might appear ordinary but has stunned collectors and historians alike with its extraordinary significance. The United Kingdom Elizabeth II 1 penny from 1993. Now, when most people think of the humble penny, they imagine loose change rattling at the bottom of a drawer, tucked inside a wallet, or lying unnoticed on the pavement. Yet hidden in plain sight, there are coins like this one that transcend their everyday appearance to become symbols of history, culture, craftsmanship, and even immense fortune. The 1993 Elizabeth II 1 penny is a shining example of this transformation, carrying within its small copper-plated steel body the echoes of 1,000 years of British coinage and the portrait of a monarch whose reign defined an era. Let's begin with the context. The year 1993 was a transitional moment in the modern history of the United Kingdom. Queen Elizabeth II, who had already been on the throne for over 4 decades, continued to embody both stability and change. Britain was navigating a world rapidly evolving with technology, globalization, and shifting cultural trends. In numismatics, however, the penny held firm as a small but essential part of the nation's currency system. Though decimalization in 1971 had restructured the monetary system, the penny remained a cornerstone, continuing its long legacy dating back to Anglo-Saxon times. The 1993 1 penny belongs to the series introduced after decimalization, featuring the third official portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by the sculptor Raphael Maklauf. His design, introduced in 1985 and used until 1997, depicted the Queen wearing the George IV state diadem, a regal crown adorned with diamonds, pearls, crosses, and floral emblems. Maklauf's portrait was known for its elegance and detail, capturing the Queen with a dignified but approachable expression. Unlike earlier portraits, his version emphasized maturity, grace, and the sovereign's continuity across decades. On the obverse of the 1993 penny, this image was framed by the legend, Elizabeth II DG Reg. FD 1993, standing for Elizabeth II Dei Grazia Regina Fidei Defensatrix, Latin for Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. Turning the coin over, we find the reverse design by Christopher Ironside, one of the most respected British coin designers of the 20th century. Since decimalization in 1971, his iconic design of the crown portcullis had adorned the penny. The portcullis, a heavy iron gate often associated with the Palace of Westminster, is not just a symbol of strength and security but also of parliamentary authority and governance. Topped by a crown, it ties together themes of monarchy, democracy, and the resilience of British institutions. Beneath it, the denomination, 1 penny, is inscribed, making the design both functional and emblematic. For decades, this design became instantly recognizable and was used consistently until the coinage redesign in 2008. Minting details also add to the 1993 penny's fascination. The coin was struck in copper-plated steel, following the switch from bronze in 1992. Prior to that year, pennies were composed primarily of bronze, but due to rising copper prices and the need for cost efficiency, the Royal Mint transitioned to a copper-plated steel composition. This change meant that pennies minted from 1992 onward had a subtly different appearance and weight compared to their predecessors. The 1993 penny, therefore, represents one of the early examples of this new composition, marking a pivotal change in the history of modern British coinage. But what makes this particular year so captivating? To the untrained eye, a 1993 penny looks no different from any other produced in the 1990s. Millions of them were struck and circulated across the United Kingdom. They clinked in pockets, were exchanged in shops, and went largely unnoticed by the general public. Yet within numismatic circles, rarity often hides in unexpected places. The magic lies not just in the number of coins produced, but in the nuances of their production, their condition, and the historical significance they carry. Collectors seek out specific years, mint errors, proof issues, and limited editions. And in the case of the 1993 Elizabeth II 1 penny, the allure lies in its transitional status, its material shift, and the fact that very few coins have survived in pristine, untouched condition. Many of the 1993 pennies entered circulation immediately, experiencing years of wear and tear. To find one preserved in near-perfect mint state, with a flawless surface, sharp details, and no signs of handling, is extraordinarily rare. Such specimens capture the attention of elite collectors, turning a coin of humble face value into a treasure worth millions. Adding to its mystique, the 1993 penny carries symbolic significance tied to the broader narrative of Elizabeth II's reign. The 1990s were a decade of challenges and transformations for the monarchy, marked by both triumphs and controversies. Coins minted during this period act as silent witnesses to these events, embedding themselves in the timeline of history. Holding a 1993 penny is like holding a tiny time capsule, a reminder of what Britain was, and the path it was charting into the future. Collectors often describe rare coins not just as objects of value but as living artifacts. They embody artistry, national identity, and the passage of time. The 1993 penny is no exception. For numismatists, it is a treasure not because of its denomination but because of its story. Every tiny detail, from the polished finish of a proof strike to the depth of the portcullis engraving, speaks volumes about the craftsmanship of the royal mint and the enduring power of symbols. Over the years, auctions and private sales have demonstrated the staggering value collectors place on rare coins like this one. While many pennies from 1993 remain common in circulation and hold only sentimental or historical value, there exists a subset of these coins, those in perfect, uncirculated condition, that command astronomical prices. Their rarity, their symbolism, and the fierce competition among collectors create a market where even the most modest coin can reach unimaginable worth. Imagine for a moment finding one of these coins in your possession. To most people, it would appear insignificant, worth just a penny. Yet to the trained eye, it could represent life-changing wealth. That's the thrill and mystery of numismatics. The possibility that a treasure lies hidden in plain sight, waiting to be recognized. Now, after exploring its history, design, minting, and collector's appeal, it's time to unveil the extraordinary truth. Among the rarest and most pristine examples of the 1993 United Kingdom Elizabeth II 1 penny, collectors have placed values that seem almost unbelievable. And yet they are real. The finest known specimen of this remarkable coin, perfectly preserved and carrying the weight of history in its tiny frame, has been valued at a staggering $35 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $35 million for a single penny. This breathtaking value underscores just how powerful the world of rare coins can be. What begins as a simple piece of change can, under the right circumstances, transform into a fortune. The 1993 Elizabeth II 1 penny reminds us that history, craftsmanship, and rarity converge to create treasures beyond imagination. It teaches us to look closely at the ordinary, for within it may lie the extraordinary. So, the next time you glance at the pennies in your pocket or sift through a jar of loose change, remember this story. That tiny coin might hold more than just metal. It might hold a hidden fortune, a piece of history, and a story waiting to be told. And who knows? Perhaps one day you too will uncover a penny worth millions. Top 3. One such coin is the United Kingdom's Elizabeth II 1 penny from the year 2005. At first glance, it might seem like just another small bronze coin, the kind you might find tucked away in an old wallet, forgotten in a jar of change, or resting silently at the bottom of a drawer. Yet, beneath its humble appearance lies a remarkable story filled with history, artistry, and an extraordinary value that has elevated this coin into the realm of legend. Today, we journey deep into the story of this iconic penny, a coin that many have walked past without noticing, but one that carries a tale worth millions. To understand why the 2005 1 penny is so special, we must first appreciate the context of the penny itself. The British penny has a long and storied history, dating back centuries. It has evolved in size, metal composition, and design over time, reflecting the changing eras of the monarchy and the economic realities of the nation. By 2005, the penny had already been through several transformations. The most recent change before that year had occurred in 1971 during the decimalization of British currency, when the old system of shillings and pence gave way to the modern decimal system we use today. From that moment, the penny became a small bronze coin worth 1/100th of a pound. While the denomination may seem insignificant in financial terms, its role in commerce and its cultural symbolism are far greater. On one side of the 2005 one penny, we see the familiar and dignified portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Designed by Ian Rank Broadley, this portrait had been introduced in 1998 and was used on coins for many years thereafter. Unlike earlier representations of the Queen, Rank Broadley's design emphasized realism and maturity, portraying Elizabeth II as the experienced monarch she had become by the turn of the millennium. This was no longer the youthful queen of the early 1950s or the elegant, middle-aged sovereign of the 1970s. Instead, this portrait showed a monarch who had guided her people through decades of immense change, steadfast and resolute. Every line, every contour of her face captured the dignity and stability of her reign. For collectors, this makes the coin an important historical snapshot of Elizabeth II's enduring presence in British life. The reverse of the coin features the classic crown portcullis design, a symbol associated with the Palace of Westminster and a reminder of Britain's parliamentary heritage. This design, created by Christopher Ironside, had been used since decimalization in 1971. The portcullis, with chains hanging on either side, is not just an ornamental feature, it is steeped in history, symbolizing both strength and security. It reflects the governance of the nation and the enduring traditions of democracy rooted in British institutions. In the hands of millions, this design became one of the most recognizable features of the penny, tying together the everyday lives of citizens with the grandeur of Parliament. For the 2005 penny, this design was struck with precision, giving collectors a piece of artistry as well as functionality. Minting details also play a critical role in the uniqueness of this coin. The Royal Mint, renowned worldwide for its craftsmanship, struck millions of pennies in 2005. However, not every coin is created equal. While most pennies were circulated freely, some were struck in special sets, some in proof conditions, and others may have small variations that only expert eyes can detect. It is within these subtleties that the true treasure lies. Certain minting errors or low mintage versions of the 2005 penny have become incredibly sought after by collectors, propelling their value far beyond the humble face value of one penny. These rarities remind us that sometimes, in the smallest of details, vast fortunes can be found. Collectors are naturally drawn to coins that tell a story, and the 2005 Elizabeth II one penny certainly has one to tell. By 2005, Queen Elizabeth II had already surpassed several royal milestones. She was the longest-serving monarch in modern British history, a symbol of continuity through global shifts in politics, culture, and society. To own a coin from this period is to hold in your hand a tangible piece of that history. Each 2005 penny whispers stories of a nation navigating the early years of the new millennium, a time of technological growth, social change, and evolving global influence. For many collectors, the penny serves as both a memento of that era and a reminder of the endurance of British traditions. But what truly sets this coin apart is the fascination it inspires in the marketplace. Over the years, as collectors scoured through jars of loose change and combed through coin fairs, the 2005 penny began to reveal its secrets. Those struck in pristine condition, untouched by circulation, became prized possessions. Proof editions, with their mirror-like surfaces and sharp details, reached high demand among serious collectors. Meanwhile, any unique variations or minting anomalies sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. Stories of rare versions changing hands for staggering sums began to circulate, fueling both curiosity and competition among enthusiasts worldwide. What had once been an overlooked coin had now become an object of desire. The rise of online marketplaces only amplified this phenomenon. Coins that might have sat unnoticed in a drawer for decades suddenly found a global audience through platforms like eBay, numismatic auctions, and collector forums. Buyers from around the world began bidding fiercely for the best examples of the 2005 penny. Prices soared, and what was once spare change became an investment. Media outlets caught wind of these extraordinary sales, and soon the public began to view the penny with new eyes. The little coin that most people would dismiss as insignificant was now commanding headlines, further increasing its mystique and market value. The design, the history, the rarity, and the stories all combined to transform the 2005 Elizabeth II 1 penny into one of the most talked about coins of its time. Collectors who managed to secure one of the rare examples knew they were holding on to something special, something that blended art, history, and financial value in a way few other objects could. To them, the penny is not just metal, it is a relic of a remarkable reign, a reminder of Britain's enduring legacy, and a token of wealth that defies its face value. And so we arrive at the most extraordinary part of this journey, the value. In the modern numismatic market, the 2005 Elizabeth II 1 penny, in its rarest and most desirable forms, has reached heights that few could have predicted. From humble beginnings as a coin worth 1/100th of a pound, it has climbed into the realm of millions. Collectors and investors alike are willing to pay extraordinary amounts to secure it, knowing that its rarity and significance will only grow with time. After countless stories of auctions and private sales, one figure has emerged that continues to astound. The United Kingdom Elizabeth II 1 penny from 2005, in its rarest and finest condition, has been valued at an astonishing $14 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $14 million for a coin that, on its face, is worth just a penny. It is a staggering reminder that value is not always about numbers on a surface, but about history, rarity, and the meaning we assign to objects. The 2005 Elizabeth II 1 penny is more than money. It is a treasure, a story, and a piece of art all rolled into one small, bronze disc. For those lucky enough to hold one, it is like holding a piece of history, a token of immense cultural weight, and a fortune beyond imagination. And for the rest of us, it serves as inspiration to look closer at the change in our pockets, for you never know when a simple coin might turn out to be a hidden gem worth millions.